e-gaming bets. We accept bets on computer games online since 2011. Referral system for regular users and the first deposit bonus. Gaming devices store and the best choice of payment systems. Dota 2 and Hearthstone, Counter-Strike and StarCraft, World of Tanks and League of Legends. EGB.com. You know for sure who's going to win.
G2A.com, the best video game store ever! Fast as lightning, solid as a rock, cheap as duck! What's more, you can sell on it because it's also a marketplace. Remember G2A.com, the best video game store ever!
Welcome, Counter-Strike fans from across the globe. Welcome to the second season of CounterPit. Of course, I'm your host, Jim Inesso, and joining me this evening is none other than PK Noodle. How are you going this evening, PK?
Oh, great. I was really enjoying that pre-stream music that you put on there with some great classic Australian songs. It's really got me in the mood for tonight's cast. I'm really excited about bringing some great Australian teams onto the world stage here with what is a fantastic competition. Of course, we've already seen 1 week of CounterPit so far. All teams, I think, apart from Trident, are still in contention for that top place on the ladder, which will, I guess, guarantee their spot over to Croatia next year for the World Finals in March. I think the 16th and 17th, mid-March. So I think we've got a blockbuster doubleheader up tonight. It'll be the first doubleheader. Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, the first doubleheader, of course. Now, it's a hectic schedule, as you said, but the first doubleheader tonight will be between Immunity and Team Legacy. Now, this is going to be a very interesting matchup, as we've seen these two teams, I guess, have a very different run of form. At least it feels that way anyway, running into this match. Now, we've seen Immunity twice already in this competition. We've only seen Legacy once. Now, maybe just quickly take us through, I guess, the rosters of both teams, Nick.
Yeah, definitely. Because we've already seen both lineups, there's probably I guess a lot of familiar names here when we start listing them off. Key thing to note though, all 10 players, the only 10 players with international experience in CSGO in our scene. So instantly you can tell off the bat that this is going to be a big matchup first between Immunity and Legacy. So Immunity's 5 players, same as always. We've got Emag, James, Rick S, Sniper, and Ustillo. Sniper, of course, being the team captain and in-game leader. And on the Legacy side, we've got, same as last night, we've got Buster, Moku, Mizu, Ofnu, and Raz, with Mizu, the youngest member of the team, actually being the team captain. So nice little balance there of, I guess, youth and experience. I think you're right there when you say that certainly it looks as though coming into tonight there's been a different run of form. I think Immunity, I mean, the last time we saw them was a few nights ago. They lost a map to Team XL5. It was a 1-1 draw, but they haven't looked their best. They've looked rusty. There's definitely been some cobwebs in their play. I mean, their CT teamwork's been lacking. We've seen them TK each other multiple times, which for a team of their caliber is almost unheard of. But I think they're probably about as shocked as anyone with their performance so far, but definitely looking to turn it around tonight, I think.
They definitely have not been the menacing team that they once were. Now, they were out-and-out favourites, and I think in their last 2 games at least, the odds were definitely skewed in their favour, and I mean convincingly, somewhere in, I think it was like the 85-15 sort of range. I think that was the worst it got. Now we see a much closer matchup tonight in Team Legacy. Now, obviously, Team Legacy have just come back from the Face It finals. We saw them play earlier last week in their first CounterPit match. We thought that time off was potentially damaging to their run of form. It certainly didn't seem that way when we saw them come out, all guns blazing, and they put away, I think it was Trident, quite easily. So they are definitely a menacing team right now, buoyed by a lot of confidence that they've no doubt gained by being exposed to overseas Counter-Strike. They did quite well, considering that they weren't favoured by anybody at all in those Face It World finals. So they definitely gave themselves a good rap, but let's just see how that translates tonight against their domestic rivals in Immunity.
That's right. I think the biggest word that you said for me to describe their play was easy. They definitely made it look very comfortable against Team Trident, had 2 easy map victories, and looked as though they were really riding confident. I guess having just returned from Sweden, a lot of experience that they've got there and wanting to, I guess, apply that to the local scene. They're definitely keen, and their motivation at the moment, they've openly said, is they want to go back overseas again. And CounterPit is a competition which will provide that opportunity for them should they come first. So they're definitely all drilled and I think in the right mindset at the moment and very focused on getting that second opportunity. I think one of the biggest things to me though, Jim, when we talk about determining factors for tonight, when we look at these two teams, is I think the pressure now that Immunity don't find themselves under. Because CounterPit's not a competition where you can afford an off match or an off night. Every single map matters in the context of securing points to build your way up the ladder.
Well, even more so now that we have a lot of the games squeezed into double headers on the night, so you really can't afford to have an off night because that potentially would lose you 2 matchups.
And they've already almost given away that luxury that they did have by drawing with XL5 the other night. So they now find themselves in almost a do or die situation where every match from here on out, you almost feel as though they have to win if they're really going to be able to retain that chance of coming first at the end of the season, where it's certainly a position that they wouldn't have expected to find themselves in so early on in the competition.
Yeah, they definitely did say that they felt they were underprepared for this, and it did show in that first matchup with Trident. And it continued into that next matchup with XL5 as well. So, as you said, if they do drop another map in these best of 2 series, they could potentially see themselves take their own fate out of their hands. And what I mean by that is relying on other results from other teams to go their way in order to give them the best possible position. So they need to win out here tonight. They need to 2-0 to continue, not only, I guess, to build momentum, but to ensure that they dictate where they finish at the end of the season and not rely on other teams' results.
I agree. And I think they will 2-0 tonight. That's my prediction. I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to almost ignore what we've seen from them so far this season. And what we've seen from them is quite a rusty team, a team that doesn't look very cohesive at the moment. They don't look their normal selves. But I think when we come into a big match like this, as we've just talked up how important this will be for IM, I'm of the opinion that they're such an experienced team with experienced players that they're almost trying to put that poor form behind them. I think this is almost like a mental reset for them. Everyone's going to be extremely focused. They know that their season almost depends on this match, and they're going to be playing like that as well. So I expect them to see coming out firing, trying to prove a point, trying to prove that some of the up and down results we've seen from them over the past couple of days has been an anomaly. They've got a really strong AWPer in Ricker, and that's, I guess, historically been one of the downfalls of Team Legacy when they are up against strong AWPers. And Ricker is the #1 in the country with that rifle in his hand, undebatable. I think they're also will have the structure to really challenge Legacy. Legacy are fine when they're able to run and gun, but when teams come in with set plans and executes and are able to really contain them, that's when they seem to struggle. So I think Immunity, despite their up and down form today, will have the edge tonight, 2-0. Very close matches though.
Yeah, interesting that you mentioned that they struggle against very structured teams. Now we saw Trident, and obviously how Legacy went against Trident. Trident are a very structured team. They definitely fall into that category. Legacy simply ran over the top of them. So I think that argument, in some regards at least, may be tossed aside.
You're not going to tell me that you put Trident and Immunity in the same bag in that regard, are you? Surely you're not going to make that argument. A team that's 0-4 compared to the current #1 team in Australia. Yes, they might each have strategies, but I think the individuals they have in the teams to execute and implement those strategies, vastly different between the two. But no, I understand.
I've seen Immunity play much like Trident recently, so it's...
For once, I'm not the one making the controversial statements, and I love the fact that it was just Jim who said that. But
look, in all seriousness...
I'm just trying to let that one sit there in the dead air.
I'm predicting a 1-1.
Okay.
Now, my reasoning for that will simply be just because Immunity have not looked their best lately. We have not seen a team that convincingly closes out matches. They have simply let matches drag on to the point where the other team has gained momentum and gained confidence by gaining rounds on them. If they let that creep into their game again tonight, we will simply see, against Legacy. Legacy certainly have the capability to run with that. Legacy definitely did it to Virtus Pro. I don't see why they can't do it to Immunity. Obviously, they didn't, I guess, run out victors in that, but nonetheless, they've got that confidence. If they get given an inch, they will definitely take that mile. They do now have that added pressure on them as well. We know Immunity are the most travelled team in Australia, at least in a sense that they've been overseas quite recently. They do have a lot of pressure in a lot of experience in dealing with pressure. If they do run into trouble tonight, there's going to be added pressure. Certainly knowing that this could dictate their overall position in the league. On the flip side of things, Legacy are on the up. They're definitely buoyed by the confidence they received in gaining experience overseas. Their first hit out in CounterPit was very convincing. Certainly put any naysayers' doubts beyond them. And I think they're just going to run with that. I mean, they're a confidence-based team, and we saw that many times. So that's my prediction, a 1-1 to Legacy.
I guess the key thing there, though, I mean, you're talking up Legacy's chances, but it's more so their chances at taking a map from what you're saying, because you are predicting a draw in the end. So I think you'd agree that there are definite strengths and advantages that Immunity are bringing to the table. It's not as though you're writing them off completely.
No, I'm not writing them off completely. I just don't think that they've shown us enough to, I guess, display that they can take out 2 maps convincingly against a team of Legacy's caliber.
My man to watch for tonight, of course, I am predicting Immunity 2-0, and I certainly was not one to compare them to Team Trident. That was definitely Jim Nesso at Deep Gympact. Just want to make sure that's clear. But my man to watch tonight will be Emag. Imagine, as he's otherwise known, but we tend to refer to him as Emag because definitely in the Australian community, that's the name or nickname that he certainly goes by. But he struggled a little bit for me so far. We've seen 2 matches from Immunity, so 4 maps from them, and he's probably had 2 good maps and 2 bad maps. I think even by his own admission, I think he'd agree with that. It's weird for me because normally Emag's the first person you think of when you're talking about consistency. He's a very consistent, reliable player, great game mechanics and understanding, so he normally is very difficult to kill in a match. Might not necessarily go absolutely ballistic and drop 50 bombs, but normally very difficult to kill, but hasn't been playing at his best. I think he's normally the player that you can count on, and I'll be looking for his teammates to be counting on him tonight if they are to go 2-0.
Yeah, they were definitely missing his consistency in that last best of 3. So I think, personally, he holds himself to high standards. He's a hard worker. He'll be definitely looking to reinvigorate his season.
Now, the maps will be interesting tonight because I think we're seeing Inferno first up, which I understand was Team Immunity's choice, which will be followed by Cache, which was Team Legacy's choice, of course. It leaves that way, but I'm getting the signal. You got something good to say here.
I think our European counterparts are taking the mickey out of us.
How so?
They put the $sign in the map Cache, signalling cash.
Oh, no, they're idiots.
They're taking the mickey out of us because we pronounce it Cache.
No, it's definitely Cache. That is the only way to say it. But Inferno, for me, Immunity's map choice, if you were to, I guess, cast your mind back 3 months, if we were to look at their performance over the last 3 months, apart from Train, Inferno's been actually their worst map statistically. Now, of course,
you've got all the stats.
I love my numbers, but they've only won 50, and I say only, they've only won 57% of their games. Now, they normally hold themselves to a much higher standard across the other maps, so it's been traditionally one of their weaker maps. I'm not sure if perhaps their up and down form of late has got them starting to perhaps question themselves a little bit. Maybe that's why this has somehow found its way into the pool, but that'll be interesting for me first up. Rick Air on Inferno. It's not normally a map renowned for AWPing, but he's really, really carved out a name for himself by doing so on this map. Really effective with it.
Yeah, he can make it work in those close quarters. It's definitely a characteristic of his game, just how aggressive he gets with that AWP. So he's definitely confident taking any firefights in close quarters. So I don't think the close nature and the close quarters of this map is really going to deter him if he so chooses. I mean, it is ultimately up to Sniper how he uses his team, and we do like to make note of the fact that he does micromanage his players, so I definitely think that will come into play.
I think so. If you look at the Legacy lineup, I was just thinking there to myself, especially given this map of Inferno, are there any players that you think stand out to you as to need to be performing if they're to get at least that one map win on the cards that you were talking about?
Legacy's way, or
Legacy's way.
Legacy's way. I think they're looking to the players like Dan's and Pex. We saw them firing in the first outing for them. Now, Dan's fired up in that second match, but in that...
I might just point out, Jim, I don't know what team you're talking about, mate, but we're certainly not watching Exile 5 here tonight,
I'm
so...
definitely thinking of the...
you have lost the plot, Jim.
That's what happens when you get too many notes in. But look, Legacy's way, Moku. I definitely think
he is part of Legacy.
He is the man that they deploy as a turret in a site. He can simply just sit there and hold it down without too much worry. But look, we're going to go into the knife round here. As we'll bring you that there. Not as eventful as the Trident knife rounds, but nonetheless, they're a knife round much the same. I'll let you have this one, Nick.
Yeah, it sounds like a little bit of disappointment in your voice when you're talking about the knife round, but I think both of these teams, they'll be desperate to start out on the counter-terror side. I think with the inherent bias that is certainly within the map these days. I know there were a few people quite vocal in the scene with the suggestions of Mute coming out, suggesting this might be a map to go, given its unbalanced nature and perhaps old, obsolete layout across the map, but key thing on Inferno is normally the small choke points at each map. They certainly allow a team with lots of utility to almost put up a fortress at each site, blocking the incoming terrorists. It can be very difficult to grab terrorist rounds. I guess by that nature, the pistol round is ever so important, because if you can nab that and then potentially 2 anti-eco rounds afterwards, it can certainly set you up well for the half.
They certainly can. So the pistol round will be pivotal for now Immunity, who have taken this T side as a result of losing that knife. It is pivotal for them to gain this round and subsequently gain momentum out of it, because, as we said, T side can be a very tough grind for many teams. So let's just see what Team Immunity can do.
We can see that Sniper here is invested in utility, but the rest of his teammates do have armor. It looks as though CT's, though, playing it quite passive at the start. Raz there spawning mid. He does see a couple of heads, so he will fall back to the safety that Arch does provide. But you can see Immunity, they're in no rush at the moment. 3 or 4 members slowly working their way up mid, so perhaps if Sniper gives the call, they will bust onto the A site. They're very, very close. Mizu and Raz need to be very, very careful about their positioning here, and Mizu will back off. So Immunity almost afforded the luxury of walking out mid undetected if they were to do so. Often does spot out one in apartments. At the moment, though, Immunity setting themselves up for a big, strong, fast A attack, I feel.
Yeah, they're just poised and ready to go. They're just waiting to see whether or not they can catch. And in from Legacy, as that flash goes off top mid, they set themselves up into pillars there. Action on the Diggity already as Ofnu takes 2 for the trouble and now falls off into that pit. He does try and contest now that third man in the site as James pounces in the pit. Doesn't matter, Ofnu's on the pounce anyway, as now Sniper has a lot of work to do. 3v1, that bomb is down in sight and he just simply has to take the firefights here. He catches that grenade, ever so beautifully tweaked by Buster. And Legacy first on the board.
I'm not sure what went wrong there for Team Immunity, but in the end, after that flash and they decided to step onto mid, Ricky was so far ahead of his teammates. I think they accidentally might have caught perhaps a couple of them EMAG, and maybe even Yustillo caught a flash from Rabs at the CT Arch there, which actually slowed down and split up the attack. But the end result was it was slim pickings there for Ofnu, as he just had 1 member apiece to line up. He had a field day there in the pit as he tore them apart, but very disjointed start and not what we were looking for from Team Immunity. They've had their troubles, I guess, showing that teamwork lately, and really quite a very... Ooh, I'm gritting my teeth as I try and reminisce on that round, because it was very, very ordinary, that attack.
Very disjointed. That's probably the thing to note. Now, we do see Team Immunity again, just poised, ready to go, waiting for something to happen, seeing if they can catch any Legacy members just peeking their heads, getting a little bit too keen, knowing the other team's potentially on that eco. Team Immunity, though, they're ready with those Tech 9s. James there, just waiting with a smoke in hand. Sniper pop flashes himself into top mid. Actually gets a frag for his troubles there. Does get traded quite quickly by... Well, Emag actually comes in to support his teammate there, and they're just waiting at that B site. Nothing's actually happened in the meantime, though. That rotate hasn't happened at all. We may need to just retry on the Go TV in a second, because the models are bugged, but Team Legacy are just being picked apart across the map there. That was probably the worst way to anti-eco that I've seen in this match. So I think this one's going to be back and forth throughout the entirety.
I love what Team Immunity did there. Apart from the fact that they obviously got the frags and won the rounds, their intent there was definitely to fake A and make as much noise as they could there, because you could see the bomb well positioned in Banana to head B off the back of that A fake. But given their almost unexpected success in dropping 2 members without losing a player at top mid. They then doubled back and went A in the end and finished out the round. But really strong. I like the use of the Tech 9s at such close quarters. Legacy here, now on the eco, but they have fully invested themselves, much like Team Immunity did last round. So a few P250s, even a deed or two in the hands of Offno and Buster. And they'll be hoping to put those strong pistols to good use. You can see Immunity, though, slowly making their way up the banana. Rick Air leading the charge. Not normally renowned for his AK, more so the AWP, but he'll put that strong rifle to good use in this situation, you would think. It's up to Buster here and his teammate in Raz to lock down the B site. You can see, I think they're going to be well aware of what's coming their way as the Molotovs and soon the smokes follow after into the B side as well. But a nice use of a flash grenade will halt their approach into the site. And whilst they have picked up 1 frag there, you can see what good use the flashes are doing. Raz picks up 3 with the 5-7. James, though, does get himself a couple, but it almost leaves his team in an untenable situation. And Moku finishes the deal. Legacy grab another round. And like you said, back and forth. Well, it's proven to be just that.
Yeah, that was a very shaky round there. It looked promising with Team Immunity getting the opening frags there. But as you said, Raz just coming up huge with that 5-7, doing a lot of damage as well. Moku just finishing the job. The janitor role, perhaps. As he does clean
definitely.
up.
I think he threw that flashbang perfectly. In the end, you could see 4 members there just with their hands over their faces trying to blind the blinding white light that was emitting out of those flash grenades. But in any case, we can see Immunity, almost to be expected by this point from what we've seen. They have force bought themselves and they can afford some rifles. So it's a bit of a, I don't know, mismatched way to start the night. But what can they do? Buster with a shotgun here behind the sandbags. There is one member there. He does get a tag onto James and finishes him off. So he'll be enjoying the $900 that he's just put in his pocket. James, though, not so happy with the way he's probably died in that instance. But it's really left Immunity with no map control. They have to go up mid here because Team Legacy have complete control of the banana gym.
And as you say that, they are just streaming onto that A site. Raz takes down one of the carpet there, but as they stream up Diggity, Emag here is going to take Ustillo actually on the wrap there. Taking out Moku as well, but he's not going to turn around in time. Buster does whiff his shot onto Ustillo, and that bomb will go down. Now they are going to play from the site by the looks of it, unless Ustillo can make a getaway. He does somehow on 13 HP. And now he's going to go toe-to-toe. Emag and Buster. Emag sharp across the box there, removing Buster's head swiftly. Another round, but this time in Team Immunity's favour. These are just seesaw rounds, Nick, we're seeing.
Yeah, I wish I had a good explanation for what we're seeing, but at the moment, to be honest, I mean, Legacy got the first frag that round and still lost after having complete control of Banana, perfect read on where the terrorists would have to go, and they just weren't making their shots. They just, almost all the players in the server at the moment just look quite rusty. There's no real strategic element that's winning these rounds, more so players hitting their shots, or more to the point, players not hitting their shots. Again, Legacy in a tough situation financially. This time they haven't invested as heavily, so only Moku has armor, but they all do have pistols. We've already seen how deadly they can prove, but I'll be looking perhaps just for Immunity to slow down the pace on this round and try and regain some sort of sense of control. But as I say that, Moku's picked up another frag here. This is just completely haywire. Again, the B site proving such a minefield for Team Immunity there. They will fall back though.
Yeah, that bomb is just sitting in pillars there as they do make their way now up the Diggity, and Emag's just going to clear out carpets as well. So A is going to be the objective here. Recognising there on Ika as Offnu does take one, but James finds a reply quite quickly. He does manage to seek them out, but it's going to be a 3-on-2 against Team Immunity here. And now Legacy very much threatening as they are going to be locked into that site there. James not able to make anything work as Raz does get taken out at Diggity there. He does reveal his position though, but Buster does manage to get that man in the sight, so James is fallen, and now Emag has to go one-on-one with Moku there. Moku knows his position. That's the dangerous part, as they're just dancing around that truck there. Emag manages to pick up that frag and convert another round, as Team Immunity now streak ahead just slightly.
Great work there by Emag. Yeah, that was a 1-on-2. I think he also crucially got a third frag just before his teammate died. We singled him out, perhaps, or at least I did, as one of the players to watch tonight because he'd really had an up-and-down season so far. But strong start by him. Great positioning there in the pit. It's ever so difficult to retake the A side. But again, that was another round that was looking like it was going back and forth. We can see Legacy. They have bought up in this situation, I think, off the back of killing so many members of Immunity last round. They know that Immunity will be hurting for money. Legacy, they force bought, so we've got some Famises. Look at this dangerous swag 7 in the hands of Mizu as well. So they're really, really banking on trying to catch Immunity off guard and keep the pressure on them at the moment. Immunity quite content just to take things slow, and I think this is much needed. Rika here in mid, very close to Raz. They will fight each other. Rika is the victor of that duel. Good start for Immunity.
Patience paying off there. Raz just showing too much through the smoke. Now, Moku's going to be forced to rotate and leave a single man on that B side there. He's not making a hurry about it. Team Immunity, though, are just streaking now onto this A side. They are going to wrap A as Rika gets their entry onto F Offnu. And Mizu finds reply in the carpet there, picking up $900 and now an AK as well. Now, Team Immunity are aware of his position potentially, but he does manage to pick up Ustillo before Sniper can justly trade him out. A 4v2 or 3v2, should I say. The bomb has gone down as Moku is going to need to work with Buster here to try and make things happen for Legacy. Their money, again, will come into play. If they don't win this round, James is just dancing around that box there with Moku there. Does get a frag, finally closing it out. Team Immunity now able to string 3 rounds together. And we will see, well, we should see an eco come out from Team Legacy.
This is good from Team Immunity now. Whilst there have been some very sloppy rounds, that was probably definitely an easier round, so to speak, for those guys. They won quite comfortably in the end there, shutting down that retake from Legacy as it did come in that 3-on-2 position. But I think it was important for Immunity to get off to a good start, especially given their woes they've had recently. Team Legacy, they've spoken before quite publicly about their difficulties they've had on the counter-terror side. Certainly when they were overseas, that was their weaker side of the two. So I think Team Immunity will be quite happy and comfortable with where they are at the moment. We can see Legacy on another eco here, and whilst Offnu does spray wildly into the smoke, hoping to do some damage, if not get a frag or two, it won't be that case as Team Immunity quite comfortable just to back off out of mid, just patrolling all areas of the map at the moment.
That's it, and they are just going to make their way slowly up mid there with that bomb. They just are split between the two sites at the moment, Team Immunity. Just trying to feel out Legacy a little bit, see what's happening around the traps as Moku does pick up James trying to sneak through that smoke, and Reke finds a reply quite quickly on A, so that is going to be where the bomb is going to make its way as Imag clears out the pit, clears out Mizu as well, and does find Raz trying to swindle on those stairs there. Now Offnu has managed to avoid being detected. He does pick up Reke sitting in the graveyard there, but they know he's somewhere in that site, and they're just going to try and hunt him out there as Imag finally gets a sniff of him.
Yeah, you can see there, nice work by Immunity, collapsing on the A side and taking it. I just want to point out Offnu there, because we saw him dancing and weaving his way around the smoke. He is the in-game leader of Legacy, but interesting for me is that he hasn't always filled that role in previous teams. He's quite new to the in-game leader role. Something he said in a recent interview was that he thinks he can adapt quite well because he's always been quite intelligent, but doesn't necessarily think there's that many good in-game leaders in Australia, so perhaps it's not such a loss. Well, he's up against one tonight in the form of Sniper, probably the best in-game leader in the country. But Moku doing the damage here in Banana, he will drop Rick, putting a lot of pressure on Team Immunity. James down to 13 health points already, and so much map control and territory for Legacy, but they definitely needed that, I think, to start off this round. They have lost a few in a row, 4 now on the cards. They need something to change their fortunes at this point.
Yeah, you still are content just to sit in the flames. That Molotov burns him as he tries to set up a smoke. Now they are going to hit this A site. They've already streaked up Diggity. Ustillo gets taken out there, but that bomb plant is going to go down. Sniper just using the cover of smoke to get it down, but unfortunately, Raz does detect him through that smoke. That bomb will be defused quite quickly. The money situation isn't that bad for Team Immunity. They did string a few rounds together. I'd imagine they'd put together a buy here as a result of that plant, but Legacy, on the other hand, need to be really cautious. They can't afford to lose this next round.
Definitely, but it's almost as though if they were to take that approach and I think be mindful of the need to be cautious, that might come back to hurt them, because what we saw then when they won the round was being so aggressive at Banana, and I love that change up. I think they need to stay in that sort of mold and really put the pressure on Team Immunity and collapse on them, whether it be B or A. Vary it up a bit, but I love the way in which they were aggressive. You can see them trying to do the same here, so they will throw a few HE grenades down mid, and it tags Ustillo down to 69, but more importantly, I think it just scares Immunity away from mid. You can see Buster and also Moku moving their way down Banana as well, and Immunity will take the challenge to them. Ustillo grabs one, but survived for so long, it felt like a lifetime. Ricker eventually seals the deal there onto Moku, and they will funnel now into the B side and get that bomb down. You thought that Legacy perhaps should have done a bit of a better job just then. Only got one frag there. Should have got some more.
Yeah, they are going to be forced to retake here as Molotov's just going to delay Mizu slightly. He does catch out Sniper. Not able to do any damage though, so he is now in a 3v1. Does take a little bit of damage to that coil there, but Sniper just quickly changing position. And catching Mizu out there. Not a great situation now for Legacy, though. Many of their members can't buy in this next round, as we said. It is going to put them onto a bit of an... Well, hold on to your hats here. They've actually gone for the force buy.
I was going to say they can buy. Will they choose to, though? Because I think only 2 members are really going to be well equipped. You can see Moku and Raz. It's probably good in the sense that they're the 2 most explosive players on the team. They'd be the 2 that I'd want with a rifle in hand at this time, given the fact that the team is struggling for cash. Mizu takes a brutal bink there at the top. Underneath the balcony, Kodu, as we used to refer to it in 1.6 after the famous Brazilian AWPer. You can see, though, Legacy just content to fall back into the side. Often will catch a glimpse of a barrel there in Apartments, but not quite able to get the frag done. But Raz, we picked him out. He's from New Zealand, and he's putting in a lot of work this round. He has grabbed 2 frags there. James and Ustilo go down. You can see, though, it's just... I think almost the slowed down pace of immunity here. It's caused a lack of rotation here with Legacy keeping 2 members at B. So if they were to commit to the A side, it's still an even number battle. Richo, they will fall back, will find the fight in Banana and drops both members there. Moku and Buster go down. You think that one of them surely would have had to make the trade there, and it will give Richo perhaps that path of entry onto the B side here, unless Raz can say otherwise, and that he does do. All left up to Emag here.
Yeah, Emag just left alone here at Pillars. Has 30 seconds to work with, though, and potentially has the flank on the entire team. He does pick up Ofnu on that flank there, and now just a 2v1 to contend with. Is he going to get caught with his knife out here, potentially? It's a great position from Mizu there, just sitting behind that APC. Going to catch him unaware, as predicted. And Team Legacy now do the same to Team Immunity. Potentially put them on what would be a force buy situation here, looking at their money.
Great little position by Mizu there. I think he would have had his heart in his mouth for a little second, though, because it looked as though as he missed the first few bullets that potentially his worst nightmare was about to come true. He only had 17 health points, but he would be relieved as anyone that he eventually got the frag. We can see Immunity here. They have Forceport trying to keep the pressure on it. Look at Ricky leading the charge up mid. Not normally an entry frag, but I guess when you're on a force buy, whatever spawn you're given is what role you will fill this round. We can see them trying to wrap around A. Great use of flash there by Legacy. Really slows them down, but Immunity are making all the frags. Ustilo, Emag, and Ricky pick up a hat trick between them, and all of a sudden it's left up to Buster and often to clean up what should have been an easy round. Buster has grabbed one. Look at Sniper walking through the smoke. Ill-advised in that context, as Buster will get a double, bring it back to a 2-on-2 situation, and Immunity almost trapped in between both bomb sites.
They are, but they're seemingly going to make it work. They are going to make the right call and actually go back onto this A site. So Ustilo and Sniper combining quite well here. And quite rightly, the 2 members of Legacy have actually teamed up. They are going to play together on this potential retake. Now, it's just a very dangerous game of cat and mouse. The 2 pairs of teams are playing as Nick chinks his glass to another round win potentially from one of these teams.
I was toasting what had been a fine display of Counter-Strike so far as I accidentally knocked my glass, but we are down to a 2-on-2, but look at the rotation here by Legacy. Immunity had taken that long and were that cautious getting onto the A side that they've been caught off guard here by Legacy with the double rotation. So that frag there onto Ustilo will be all the information surely that Legacy would need to know that Ustilo and Emag were both there as a pair. All left up to Emag now. He's touched once before, but not to be in this instance. They push through the smoke and grab him, and they will get that defuse, but I think it was just Immunity almost taking too long to get onto the side. Of course, they weren't to know that Legacy had stacked both members at B, but it was the pace in the end that was their downfall.
It was that turtle-like pace, but they did have a lot of angles to clear. They didn't have any information as to where the CTs could be, as we saw Buster changing up his position twice there to get frags. So, look, they were willing to move around the map, and Team Immunity just taking the time to clear all angles, got caught out there. But we will now see an eco coming in from Team Immunity. They do have a little bit of utility, though. Ustilo there holding a flash and a smoke. And the Sniper, of course, having a smoke himself. Now, they're just waiting out this early aggression from Team Legacy on Banana there. That grenade will do a little bit of damage there, particularly to unarmored opponents. Now, they are just waiting on Sniper's Q to do something here. They are just sitting around in mid and sitting at the bottom. Accordingly, that smoke will now fade in Banana. They are going to take it here as Buster, eyes wide open, potentially an eco slaw there. Didn't quite go his way. They're making their way onto that B site, though. So a retake will have to come in here from Team Legacy.
That's the second time we've seen Legacy struggling to hold at the bottom banana in a really advantageous position, but certainly Raz and his teammates doing a great job of retaking at the moment. They've already turned around the situation. It is now a 3-on-2 in their favour. You can see Emad here stationed inside the connector. Will get the drop on Raz there, so down to a 2-on-2, make it a 1-on-2. All lift up to Emad and can't quite do the job. That's the second round. He's had the pressure of being the clutch man. Normally quite good, but certainly in that situation where they knew his position, he was already low on HP, it was always going to be quite tough. And as it was, Legacy getting their 4th round in a row, or 3rd I should say, my maths is not quite correct, but 3rd round in a row. But crucially, interesting thing that I take away from that is that normally Immunity are renowned for being a fantastic team at leading from the front. They're normally very good at manipulating their enemy's economy and really keeping up morale and motivation within the team. Well, we've just seen Legacy peg them back a little bit. This is really promising for tonight.
Yeah, Legacy unfortunately lost too many members there, and I think if they do lose this round, it will be put on Eco. Well, potentially anyway. We've seen them buy up in worse situations, so take what we say with a grain of salt. But Team Immunity now just working their way up mid. Rekka has that AWP in hand, so they're looking to him to open something up at either side. Now, got smoked out at top mid. He's going to try his hand here at the B side. Now, Buster and Moku have had a little bit of trouble holding B from either end there. Buster does get a frag before he's quickly traded. And now Team Immunity are just going to put a little bit of pressure on that site to try and get a rotation out. They do get a man rotating from either side. There is Ricker, just plays a very cautious game there through that smoke. But in the meantime, Team Immunity making their way back up mid.
Yeah, you can see whilst Ricker was making that noise and almost that distraction, 3 members, as you say, have worked their way back up. So Emad, Ustilo, and Sniper with bomb in hand. They've gone back up to mid, but they've almost done the double bluff here because they've thrown a few nades, made a bit of noise, and then sending back the bomb. So it does look as though the double fake is on the cards here. And it's worked in the sense that Raz has now backed up to the A side. So whilst he will drop Ustilo, look at the overlay here. It's all up to Moku, and 3 members coming his way. He needs at least 1 frag here to give his team a chance. The rotation will not be there in time. Moku at the coil, so you can hear them coming in. Will get the drop onto Sniper. Crucial frag there. It's only 1, but it's the information and the play that they did need. But Ricker, he's putting that AWP to great use. He's already got 2 for the round. Can't quite connect there with a 3rd. Down to a 2-on-2 situation at the moment. You can see Imad again proving his worth there in the connector, getting the drop onto Mizu. Offnu temporarily had his retake obstructed by a few flames, but now that they've subsided, he will head in, but Ricky seals the deal, and great job by him. And importantly, great job at Immunity at really manipulating the defensive positions there of Legacy. Raz rotating from A to B to A, unsure of where the final attack would be.
It really was organised chaos there from Team Immunity, just applying pressure. Once they had that man, it wasn't really a man advantage, but nonetheless, 4 CTs spread between 2 sites, things get pretty hairy, and you can generally fake rotations and draw them quite quickly. So Team Immunity just working well in that situation. Team Legacy on a full eco here, bar a few upgraded pistols.
If anything, these have proved to be the most dangerous rounds for Team Immunity, though. We've seen the strength of the pistols. It's not to be so far. Ustilo, the powerful explosive frag, it does manage to hit it off now, but Mizu with a nice little mid-air shot onto Emag will level the ledger. It's 3 men apiece, and again, these pistol rounds, they're almost proving the bigger challenge for Team Immunity. They will head towards B. Moku, they're not able to seal the deal on Rick here, despite getting the jump on him as Rick did enter the site with that AWP in hand. The bomb will get planted now, so they should have strong enough after plant positions to hold this, you'd have to think. Both of the members of Legacy, though, have picked up rifles here, Jim. It's not going to do Mizu any good as James does drop his head, but perhaps Raz will have better success. Maybe not.
Maybe not. Ricker actually got fairly lucky there. Moku whiffing a few shots on him, and Ricker able to pivot on a dime, 180, use his bailout pistol weapon there, and eventually frag him. And it was pretty, I guess, uncharacteristic of Moku to make such a mistake in that situation. We normally see him quite a calm, confident fragger, but this match certainly hasn't all so far.
Well, they've already got 8 rounds Immunity, and they'll be happy with that given the CT nature of the map. You can see they are putting some pressure on Banana quite early, and really a lot of pressure on Buster as well in that sense, because he's the only member there at that site. Often now will come in to help with the rotation, but I think they're quite fortunate that Immunity didn't push up faster than they did. They will now take the fight with Buster. He does grab the first with the Mag 7, mind you. He does a lot of damage onto Sniper as well, and you can see the time that he's bought, because there's now 2 more members of Legacy inside the side, and I think Sniper, mindful of the fact that it took them too long to get that frag, they have backed off now, suspecting some more presence at B.
That's it, and they are just working that banana here, as you see. 4 members of Team Immunity in there. Ricky picking up a frag for his work, and will force Offnu to retreat back to the side, who is completely blind. That flash doing a great deal of good, as now they have control of this B side. That plant will come in. In the meantime, Moku on a very quick flank here, so if he's quick, he can catch out one of them. He does catch out James, and more importantly, delay that plant and pick up a second as well. Great work from Moku on that flank there. Now, Ricky has to go huge here for his team. A 1v1 with Moku. He does pick up the first frag, obviously, and change out to the AK. We'd normally see him go for the AWP here, but he obviously knows the importance of the situation, and this could extend Team Immunity's lead for the half. Moku ready to step around that corner. A single bullet will do it. Ricky showing that he can indeed rifle just as well as he can AWP.
And that's really one of the reasons why he's one of the most dangerous players in the country, isn't it? Really highly regarded by all of his peers in the competitive scene in Australia, because he can do it all. He can AWP, he can rifle. He's also a fantastic pistol player as well. And give him his choice of weapon, you'd nearly back him any day of the week to make that frag, but he did it in style in the end. 9-6 to Immunity. They'll be really happy with the end result. Probably not so much the fashion in which they got there. It was actually quite a ugly way to start the match. Rounds going back and forth when perhaps they shouldn't. But as it is, we will see Immunity getting a lot of information here. James picking down mid and picks up a headshot. So I think Offnu will be a little bit unfortunate in that case. He'll be hanging his head in sorrow with the nature in which he did get fragged there. But we can see Immunity. They're very heavily A presenced here. There's 4 members there. Rickes locking down the banana on his own. The bomb just waiting at the bottom, perhaps going to head that way. But in the meantime, Moku and I think surrounded by Mizu there. They've done so much damage in mid at the arch side. They've dropped sniper, they've dropped EMAG. They've opened up the pathway to B, and all of a sudden the sole member of B and Ricky has to contend with 2 separate directions. He's going to come under the pressure here as he will check CT spawn, does get the drop on the first one and the second one there. Crucial double frag, and that's all the information that Immunity will need. They will now rotate down mid, and Legacy trapped by the incoming forces.
That's it. Sharp pistol work there from Ricky. One of the sharpest pistol players as voted by his peers again. But Buster now and teammate Raz have just trapped themselves in this connector. Team Immunity doing great work, just cording him off. Great headshot there from James and a double to finish the round. A 3k for him. Some great pistol headshots to round things out.
I'd actually love to run the numbers, and I think I might actually, when I got some spare time, run the numbers on Immunity's pistol round successes, because I think we just saw some incredible headshots by both James and Ricky. We talk up endlessly the skill that Ricky and Ustillo possess, in particular with pistols, probably the 2 best pistol players in the country. I would love to see the frequency at which they win pistol rounds, regardless of the side, regardless of the map. I might run those numbers.
Well, that grenade just doing a little bit of damage. It looked more threatening than that, as Legacy are just going to set themselves up here in this banana and pounce on this B side as things open up. Buster now straight in. First man into the site, virtually not the first man down. Sniper and Ricky just cleaning things up here. They are loving it here at this B site. Moku forced to retreat down banana. He doesn't have the bomb either, so it's not going to be an easy plant for him at A. He is just making sure that he's not being flanked early, but he's going to be faced with the wall of 4 Immunity members there. Does tag Imagine quite quickly. Pick up as well a second, but geez, that round went fairly pear-shaped quite quickly for poor old Legacy in that B side.
It did, and off the back of that 4K that Ricky did pick up, he's actually been the first to break into the 20, so he's leading the front at the moment. He's got 21 frags for his team, and we pointed out his importance on a map like this, more so with the AWP. We did see him AWPing a few times there at the end of the half, but he's really been stepping up for Team Immunity, as has EMAG as well. They're looking like a team that understands the pressure they're under. They must win tonight, really, to keep their season's chances alive, you'd surely think. But Ustillo becomes almost the aggressor in this round. Charges down second mid, closely followed by James there, and wrecking havoc onto the team Legacy. They've almost fallen where they thought was once safe territory, not when you're playing Immunity.
Yeah, just taking control of second mid there quite aggressively, and it worked because all 5 members of Legacy were sitting there, and Team Immunity just flexing some control over this map, starting to really show that they are capable of taking territory.
Yeah, certainly a strat that was more common in 1.6, pushing down second mid. Not so much in CSGO, so catching Legacy off guard. We can see, of course, this is the first gun round, so 5 AKs across the board for Legacy. Immunity, though, intent on taking banana control and limiting their options, but look at this nifty little setup here in Apartments. I love this. Side by side they stand, and side by side they fall away, having got that opening frag. Moku will get an exchange onto James. Can he get the second there? Some spray going down, but Ustillo gets the job done and really converts onto Buster as well. So really making the tough frags when they count. Sneaky little work there by Raz, ducking down, hiding behind the little pop paint like a little weasel, but it's the end frag that result matters there in that case. But 3-on-2, definitely pressure on Team Legacy here.
No doubt a very sheepish grin right now on Raz's face after goblining
and
on
mine.
Ricky there, but Mizu just not taking that shot there onto Sniper, letting him run past, letting him think that CT spawn is clear. I'd imagine B would be the objective here, as Mizu has a very real opportunity to flank. Just taking his time through the connector there. He will get the pounce on Sniper, take that frag accordingly, and will open up this B side. That bomb is going to make its way up Banana quite quickly. Mizu is just doing some good work here, just clearing things out, making sure the rotation isn't too quickly on their heels. As Emag, great pre-fire there, great recognition of potential threats as Raz now is going to make his way through that smoke. Does pick up one, sprays for the second as well, somehow pulling Legacy back into this. Now they need to string more rounds together than this though.
Oh, great play by Raz in the 1-on-2. He only had limited health points. I think he was flashing red, it was that low, and that was really make or break for him. He committed fully, he flashed through the smoke and stepped and caught Immunity off guard there. I think if they were to know how little HP Raz had, they'd be really, really upset with the fact that they lost that round. But hats off to Mizzy. Great little play, ninja-ing through the CT arch there and getting the drop onto Sniper at B, set up the round for his team. You can see, though, Immunity, they have been able to buy again off the back of so many SMG kills and little deaths in the previous few rounds. But Offnu, putting the deed to good use and getting the drop on Ricky there in Apartments. Great frag, filling with so much confidence. Ustilo, though, proving a menace in mid. We'll get the information now that 2 more members are funneling their way up, running through quad or diggity, as we love to say. A lot of work here for Emag to do. He will get the second there. Can't quite convert the third, but Sniper, quick in toad, gets the drop on. I think it was Buster Raz. He went 1-on-2 the last round. Can he do it again? He's got the first. Suspicious of the smoke there, and will fake the plant, keeping his eyes locked forward. Any sign of a shadow or any noise there that might come his way, but not to be. I think James, recognising that with so much time on the clock, a fate was definitely on the cards there. Raz positioning himself actually in a sneaky little spot there at Graveyard. I don't think James will be suspecting of that. Perhaps now doubting whether Raz has doubled back to the B site. He'd be cognizant with so much time on the clock that it's definitely an option. Perhaps not the option that too many players in the pro scene would explore. I think holding the A site, as Raz has done, is the more common. Raz looking for James. He's suspicious of his presence there and won't hear him, but as he runs back to the site, James will hear those footsteps, and that will be the information he needs to slowly make his way in towards A. But Raz checks, and he definitely is up to the task there as he does drop James, turning around on the spot there to check Mini Pit, and will get the frag. Great clutch, and that's 2 1v2s in a row by Raz, really stepping up.
Yeah, coming up clutch when his team needs it and proving that New Zealand is a very real threat on the Counter-Strike map. But look, Team Immunity now a little bit on the back foot as you see a 5-man grenade strat coming down mid as Buster starts to stomp on it a little bit there. Picks up a couple frags for his trouble. Mizu combining there for that 4th frag, but now Emag, a lonely figure sitting up in our A arch as he's going to make his way back to B, but Team Legacy, grenades doing a lot of damage there. They're just going to regroup.
Yeah. Definitely. You could see Buster's eyes would have lit up at the prospect of 5 CTs stepping around top of mid with the HE in hand, and for a moment he had visions of getting all 5. In the end, you'll have to settle for 3. Maybe you can get a 4th if you can find Emag here, but you can see that there are opposite sides of the map. So whilst Legacy are being quite mindful and careful to check every little nook and cranny, at least that's what we say in Australia. I hope that that's a familiar term worldwide. I don't want to offend anyone, but they will find that the site is quite empty here. And Emag, the bomb's been planted. He knows it's today. Perhaps looking for a spare gun or 2 at the bottom, and he will find an AK. So he'll be quite pleased with that, and he's set up well here to perhaps get an exit frag or 2 if they did decide to funnel down mid.
Yeah, he's just going to try and hold to see whether or not he can get a little bit more damage done to Team Legacy. Obviously, that AK is going to be a great boost to his team's economy, but he might catch Buster out here as he does manage to pick up one. Will make a getaway there, but will be confronted there by Moku. So not quite the outcome he would have liked, but a frag nonetheless. Team Immunity, though, are going to rebuy here. They're going to need to win this round, otherwise potentially face himself on another eco.
Yeah, I think you'd still be backing them at this point. I mean, they're still up 3 rounds. They're on the favoured side. This is really only, I think, the second or third, probably the third, I think, gun round in which they've had the opportunity to contest. So we haven't really had too much for Red. You can see, though, Legacy wanting to put a lot of pressure and really establish their dominance in mid. They will send a few grenades up early, but Immunity trying to do the exact same thing back to them in Banana. You can see 2 members stationed at the sandbags, but James from Trash, and that's really where those Legacy members will now lie for the rest of the rounds. He does catch both of them off guard with a nice flash. They will retreat off the back of that, and I think of the presence Legacy is showing at B, the rotation's been made. Look at the overlay. There's 3, nearly 4 members if James commits to the site there at B, and you still are on the flanks. So Legacy are well and truly trapped in here, and I think they've almost signed their death wish as they do commit to the site, and we'll find that Ustilo is almost going to be part of the terrorist force as he runs in and almost beats Raz into the B site there.
Yeah, great collapse there from Team Immunity once they picked up those frags. Reke are holding really strong at, I think most people refer to that as the emo spot in the back right-hand corner of that site. But look, just great spray control. Didn't even spray, just tapped the heads as they came through and made light work of Team Legacy. Now, let's see what Legacy are going to do. They're going to
say, what's going on here? Because they haven't left T-spawn yet. Normally this is a time perhaps where you take the tac pause. I think they must have been, from what we can see, at least in the weaponry, debating whether or not to buy. That's what I'd read into that, because they were a good 10 seconds delayed out of spawn. You can see they have forced it up, not opting to take a tac pause, but relying on the strength that they'd shown in previous rounds, at least up until last round. It's quite split up at the start, and quite a bit of damage and pressure being applied from James at the top of mid there. He will tag Mizu. Moku trying to get the revenge on his teammate. They are close friends, and he will get the drop onto James there through the smoke nonetheless. Buster busts up mid quite fittingly, drops Sniper as well. So the A site, it must have had a welcome sign onto it, because they're having so much success there as they charge up mid, and all of a sudden it's left up to 2 members. There is Emag in the pit there. He is the sole form of resistance at the A side, and Legacy, the force buy, or quasi-buy as some people refer to it, proving to be the downfall of Team Immunity.
Yeah, the quasi-buy, as it's referred to by our other casting counterparts. It worked. Honestly, action was happening so thick and fast there across the top of the map that yeah, you blink and you'll miss it. As we do see now, Team Immunity forced to go with only a pistol buy, a couple flashes for their troubles. Now, Legacy are just spreading themselves across the map, taking their time, as Mizu does find a nice early frag there from the mid pit onto Emag. Emag only ringing out a single bullet before the bell tolled on his time. As Rike cops a nice little grenade there. But in the meantime, Legacy just going to make their way up top mid, crossfire, and potentially trade out if they need to. They are going to go for... I thought they were going to go for a wrap here, but Offnu just finding Ustilo, getting a little bit too inquisitive there. And James gets picked up on the arch. The A site is theirs with only Sniper and Rike in tow.
Well, let's not forget the last time these two teams met was actually in the Face It Online qualifiers for that trip overseas, which Legacy actually ended up winning. And they won the match quite convincingly. It was on Mirage, but you can see why they're such a tough off position for Immunity, because they really work well as a team. Great use of flash grenades. Great communication as well. It's something they pride themselves on, and they're clawing their way back in on the tougher side. They're really keeping Immunity honest in the sense that every round you feel as though even if Immunity can afford to buy guns, it's almost like a compromised buy. Against Sniper, perfect example, has a FAMAS in hand, only 1 smoke grenade. This is going to be tough here from Immunity. They really need to use all the experience and maturity that they do have as players to get the win here.
And Rike on the glass cannon as well, so that's just a sign of how desperate they are with their buys, as a great little spam there. Doesn't quite connect with anyone from Team Immunity. James does find Moku trying to get into that window room, as it does take a lot of damage there for his trouble. And Mizu just laying in wait, waiting for James to potentially pop out and peek top mid. He's a little bit smarter than that though. He's not going to take that fight, as Ustilo sitting, waiting at the top of those stairs in Carper. They have complete apartments control. Team Legacy though, gonna rat out Sniper with that Molotov. Don't quite convert the frag though, so damage has been done. James picking up a second frag with such little HP. They are going to stream onto Diggity, but little do they realise that such apartments control exists. I do believe that bomb has been felled in the carpet by Ustilo, or the likes as Ustilo just cleaning up there, catching Raz out. That bomb was down. Things were never go Legacy's way.
Immunity actually really good here. This is, I think, the second or third time. I think the second on the CT side, we've seen them really establish that apartment control or carpet control, as we also refer to it here in Australia. It's not something that many teams in our region do, but you can see how effective it can be because it really limits the choke points in which the Ts can have at their disposal. They had to funnel up mid there, and I think Team Immunity also fortunate to drop the bomb very early on in apartment, so it caused that early rotation, and there were just so many forces there for Legacy to contend with today. It was always going to be difficult. Ricky will get the tag there from the car. Mizu, the bottom of the double stack, and he's the one taking the damage, at least until Ricky inflicts a little bit more onto the man that was on his head in the form of Raz. This is really putting a lot of pressure on Legacy now. They're scared of Banana. They've already lost almost 1 3/4 of a team trying to just hold their own at the bottom. It will force them up towards A again, where 4 members of Immunity will be lying in wait.
Yeah, Ricky just getting 2 for the value of 1 potentially with that AWP as they do get traded up mid there. James picking up a double somehow through the smoke, and now Buster has that AWP in his hands. We do see him AWP for this team from time to time, but he's going to need to do a lot of work with it. Either way, as he makes his way up towards the jungle side of mid, just waiting for someone to peek at that mini pit. Sniper's laying in wait to potentially trade his teammate out. James just scoping in the wrong direction there, Buster. James timing it to perfection with the way he stepped. And now match point for Team Immunity. Legacy, you're going to have to dig in.
Yeah, this is great from Immunity. You can really see that they've almost seemed to take it up a notch in the last few rounds. They're working really cohesively. And I mean, the rounds haven't been close the last 2 that they've won. So you can see how important it is for these guys. They recognise that they must win this map to really keep their season's hopes alive, you'd have to think. Of course, Legacy down 4 match points. They've fully invested into this round, but unfortunately for their sake, it's meant they've only got Tech 9s and armor, and Ustillo jumps out of the apartment window there. Will catch Offner off guard, so the in-game leader's down, and as Emag holds control and strafes around the corner, he will finish up another 2, so all left up to Buster and Raz. Their hopes of winning 2-0 are quickly being extinguished as they do now fall, and Immunity claim the first map 16-11. Strong showing by them standing up when they needed to, and finishing off what was their map choice.
Yeah, very strong heart there from Team Immunity. And they'll be buoyed by the confidence that you get from winning the first map.